You've got goals for your team and business. You've got goals for your health and well-being. You've got goals for your personal finances, and maybe you've got goals for retirement. Well, these goals help you create a roadmap from where you are now to where you want to be. Planning a presentation is no different. In order to get your audience from where they are now, their current beliefs and behaviors, to where you want them to be, new beliefs and new behaviors, you need to consider 3 goals: affective goals, behavioral goals, and cognitive goals. Let's start with affective. How do I want my audience to feel? Affective goals or feelings are important to consider because people don't take action unless they feel something. Even logical, practical, technical listeners who respond positively to facts, statistics, and data still need to feel compelled, inspired, or sometimes even worried in order to take action. So for example, if I'm making a sales presentation, I might want my prospects or customers to feel excited and curious about the product or the service that I'm pitching. Behavioral goals. What do I want my audience to do? Behavioral goals or doing goals are the bottom line measure of the success of your presentation. You may have given a brilliant speech, but if your listeners don't do what you've asked them to do, or aren't at least considering it more now than they were before you started speaking, you actually haven't achieved your goal. You may want your listeners to take action, make a change, do something, or stop doing something. Make sure you're clear on what it is in your own mind first so that you can ask them clearly and concisely, either overtly or covertly. You also want to make sure that you ask this audience to do something that they are actually empowered to do. So, if I'm making a sales pitch to a gatekeeper, I would want them to open the gate and connect me to the decision makers. If I'm pitching an influencer, I would want them to recommend me to their boss. If I'm pitching the actual decision maker, I want them to buy what I'm selling. Those are all behavioral matches. But if I ask a gatekeeper to make a final decision, that's a behavioral mismatch. Cognitive goals. What do I want my audience to know or understand? Cognitive goals, knowing goals, are the roadmap to getting your listeners to where you want them to go. Think about what you learned about your audience and based on your research or analysis, identify the main areas of information that you need to share with them in order to address what they want and need to know. How do you start populating your cognitive goals? By reviewing what your audience already knows and what they don't, what they want and hope for, and what they fear. That information should guide your decisions about what to talk about that will be of interest to them. Interested listeners are much more likely to pay attention and get on board than ones who feel disinterested, disconnected, or dismissed. So, if I'm making a sales pitch and I know that my audience is worried about cost, I would address how I can save them money in the long run. If I know that my listeners are concerned about their competition, I'll focus on how my product or service can give them a competitive edge. And of course, I will back all of that up with data. But what about what you want to tell them? What about your agenda? Yes, there's room for that as part of the cognitive goals, as long as you can connect it to what the audience wants and needs to hear. For example, if your listeners don't understand how your product works, helping them increase their understanding of how the product works should be a cognitive goal, even if you already know how it works. If your listeners want speed to market, helping them comprehend your timing should be a cognitive goal, even if you already know the speed to market. If your listeners are worried about the competition, helping them see how your proposal will help them beat or differentiate themselves from their competitors should be a cognitive goal, even if you already know it. So, make sure your goals are focused on them, not on you.